Here's something that's really interesting. Most consultants think that they have a marketing problem. And if you're in business, you might feel the same way about that, but you don't. What you have is a demand problem. And not because you're not talented and not because you're not visible, but because you're not working hard enough. No, that's not it either, because nobody taught them the truth. And demand isn't luck, demand is engineered. That's the difference. Demand isn't attention, and demand's not popularity. It's not posting more, shouting longer, being everywhere at once. Demand is the gravitational field of your business. Think about that for a minute. It's that invisible force that pulls the right people to you without you chasing them. Wouldn't it feel great to not have to chase clients and chase business all the time? You see, it's the difference between being seen and being sought out. It's the difference between being available and being in demand. People always want what they can't have, or what's limited, what's scarce. And so between hoping for clients and selecting them, that's the difference. And most business people are exhausted because they're trying to build a seven-figure business on a foundation of hope. They're doing more, but they're creating less demand. They're louder, but not more magnetic. And they're visible, but not inevitable. You want to be the inevitable choice that people are making. And today we're going to fix that. Today, I'm going to show you how you can be the architect behind a consistent, intelligent, premium, on-demand brand. The kind of demand that makes clients move forward towards you with clarity, with urgency, and with certainty. Because when you understand how demand is created, then you stop chasing clients. That's when business gets fun. You stop convincing people. You stop negotiating your worth, and you become the advisor, the business person, the company that people choose, not the one that they stumble upon. And this is the week that your business stops feeling random and starts feeling inevitable. So welcome to week 5 in our 7-figure year series. And today we are talking about the demand engine. And what we're going to do is continue on with our series. And in this series, we are showing you how we take businesses from 6 figures to 7 figures in 1 year or less without any of the struggle, the stress, the overwhelm, and the sacrifice that you've been going through. So if you're wondering, how do I build a 7-figure business? What are the steps? It's actually not as complicated as you think. There's 4 primary steps, and we're going to dive into these. This is all based on the series that we're doing. We're taking our 12-month process to get you to 7 figures, condensing it down to 12 weeks so you can see all the elements, all the pieces that you need to know. And then we've put everything, all the resources, the tools, the elements into a vault so you can access that and get all of the scripts that we have here, all the slides, all the presentations, all the downloads of the one sheets, the quizzes, everything, so that you can build your own engine, your own 7-figure machine. If you want our help with it, we would love to work with you. You go to iconicbusinessadvisors.com and we can help you out with that. And either myself or one of our consultants can work with you to really figure out what is the block, what's the hurdle or the bottleneck that you're facing right now that is keeping you stuck, keeping you flatlined below that 7-figure mark. And if you're already beyond 7 figures, what about adding another 7 figures this year, right? So this is what we're talking about. And this is the time to do it because the world is changing so fast, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So if you do want some help with anything, you can just go to callconnie.com. And of course, you can go to our website as well. So if I were to give you kind of a quick agenda of what we're doing, we're talking about this shift, right? And this demand shift. So what do we want to look at? So it's the controversy or the friction between push versus pull, right? And being more somebody who architects your business, or you're just so full of activity, you're doing activity, content, instead of really building this design. And this is where people get lost, right? So is it about attention or is it about demand? We're saying today it's about demand. We need to create the demand and not sit around and wait for circumstances to appear to make it all work, but we're actually going to build it out and show you everything. So I hope you're excited. Get your pens. If you are here for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe down here to our new channel. We will get you advance notice of everything that's coming up. We are here every Tuesday from 1 p.m. for about 20-30 minutes on Pacific time. And so come back here, subscribe, get all the extras. Then you can also go to our newsletter, The Iconic Edge, and you'll see that there as well. So we want to go ahead and get started with what we're talking about. We always like to begin with the big overall 360 view, right? What is everything that we're going to cover? And this is what we're talking about today. And I'm going to break this down into the different pieces, and you're going to see how these pieces and parts layer and stack upon one another, and then you know what to do and then what to get rid of. If it's not on here, you don't need it. But if you do want this one-page cheat sheet, all you have to do is type Vault down below, and you can do Vault 5, then I know exactly which one you want. We will get this to you. And then you can get everything in the Vault as well, so we can give you the link to that coming up shortly. And so what we're looking at now, right, is what does this actually mean, right? This whole demand concept. And it's you know, it's something people don't say a lot. It's not a common word. Like people talk about funnels and, the little things, and you got to post and you have to, have your scripts, all of these things. These are parts and pieces and tactics. But we got to understand the big picture is the demand. Do you have demand for what you're doing? See, it's not just visibility, right? Visibility isn't desire. People may see you everywhere, but it doesn't mean they're going to stop and check it out. It's like Gaper's Block on the side of the freeway, right? Okay, you can see all of that. You want to take a look, but it doesn't mean you're going to stop and help. Okay, so we want you to be able to really look at activity isn't architecture. And you can be visible like a lot of influencers and be broke. And you can be active, but you could be very exhausted. And you can be consistent and still visible, but demand isn't about being loud. You don't have to be the one. You don't need a megaphone every time you're going live. Okay, so let's take a look at the distinction here. And when you're looking at this is attention, right? That's the push. And do you ever feel like you're kind of in that phase where you're not inevitable, but it's like maybe you're the second or third choice, right? But push is what? It's not virality. It's not the being loud, right? Visible we're talking about. That seems a little bit chaotic, doesn't it? And you want to get out of this chaos, this randomness, and you want to build an actual smooth machine, even like, you see like a flywheel and that concept. So this is what we're talking about. This is the pull, right? And you can see how everything is very predictable and there's a magnetism to it, right? So how is your business looking right now? Is it more chaotic, or is there order and pattern and sequence that makes you go, oh, okay, this is very smooth? And, just looking at the two, it's clear selection is another thing that you want to look at. When you look at those two pictures side by side, right? One feels calming and one feels like it puts you in a state of stress. And what you want to understand is there's an actual formula, okay? Because the trap is activity, and it's the architecture that is really going to take you to the next level. So if we kind of dive into this a little bit more, like, this trap that we talked about, well, where are you? How is your business looking? Do you feel more like this? where you're posting more, you're focused on how much outreach, and being louder than your competitor and maybe copying them, but amping it up a little bit. What does that lead to? That leads to exhaustion. And do you ever feel like that? Like, I don't know if I can do anymore. Like, oh my gosh, there's another platform I have to be on. I don't want to do that. Okay. Anybody feel like that? Sometimes it's just like there's so much and I can't do it all. It's just me. And then you think maybe I need a team, and then the team eats up your profits. So it's kind of this conundrum that you're in business, trying to figure out how does it actually work. And this is part of the problem a lot of people have. They know the thing that they do, right? They do it really well, but they don't know how to build a business around what they do. And so they listen to things on Instagram, YouTube, wherever. Of course, our stuff is good. You want to keep listening to our stuff, but you don't know anymore. And it's really hard to distinguish the truth from the falsehood. And then you end up going down a wrong pattern and you feel like this. Like just everything is just a bundle. Like we showed you last week, right? And all this change in your head and you don't know what's going on. And where we want to take you is to this, right? So that you can see a pattern. You see how every part of your business, the four parts, the four pillars of your business all have a purpose. They all make sense. And there's an order to it. So like you're talking the positioning, the clarity, the authority, and the framework. What happens here as a result is you have predictability. And a lot of times we just don't have predictability in our business. So last week and before I showed you a formula. So I'm going to show you the formula that we're going to break down. Okay. But let's talk first about the three myths that it's kind of like myths and myths that it can be a problem in your business, right? So if you look at the first one here, and can you guys see this okay? I hope you can see this okay. So let me make that a little bit bigger for you so you can see that. Okay. So what we're looking at here is that we've got to get away from this. You think, I got to attract everybody. You want to be magnetic, but you don't want to be shouting and screaming, right? Get rid of the loud. And then you don't want it random. You don't want it to be dependent on externals. Like, oh, it's the algorithm. No, you can actually still architect. And a lot of people do this. We were just talking about this today with a group of people. And like, oh, well, we can't handle that because the algorithm's always going to change. Yes, but is your brand solid that it can withstand any kind of weather, right? And people always say, well, under the conditions, we like to say, what are you doing under there? Get out of there, get out of the conditions and actually create your own demand. And then, of course, understand that it's not optional. Okay, it's intentional. And that's the difference between what people are doing right and what people are doing wrong. So of these three myths, right, which one do you need to correct? Which is a misconception about your perception of demand? What do you think you need to focus on or maybe change as far as your thinking? Okay. So this is the formula that we were talking about. And what you're looking at, okay, so the demand is the first part. And I think I showed you this. Let me show you again. So the demand is the key thing that we're trying to do, right? How do we engineer that demand? And then we need to look at the priority. How are we positioned as far as priority? Multiply that priority by clarity. Okay. And do you have clarity? Is it really clear to your audience, to you, to everybody, what needs to happen? Okay. If you're not clear, people are going to be pushed away. Clarity is very important for conversion. If you don't have the conversion, it's not going to work. Okay. So, and then the A, what is the A? The A is the authority. So do you have the authority in your business that you can say, hey, this person is somebody we want to listen to? But if you're not the authority, if you're just sort of in a red ocean, just like everybody else, then you're going to have a problem there as well. Okay. So if you take those three things, okay, and then we want to multiply it by momentum. Do you have some momentum going on in your business? Or again, is it start, stop, start, stop? That can be a problem for a lot of people. So how is your business positioned? Do you have all three of these? Do you have this equation running to keep that engine going? Okay. And what we break it down is this way, right? You can see how we break it down. Positioning is the first part. How is that? How are you positioned in the market? And your clarity. What are you known for? What is the one singular thing that you are known for? And people will say, oh, if you need this, go here, right? People always talk about iconic business advisors and say, hey, if you really want to build a 7-figure brand, go there. And we'll eliminate all the clutter that you might have in your mind, right? So these are the 4 variables. And you want to figure out, where am I in the process, right? And so now we want to break it down a little bit more. And how do you look at it for yourself, right? If we start with that positioning, that gravitational field that we're talking about, right? And what that does is it really starts to figure out who's moving towards you, right? Who sees you as that obvious choice? Is that how you're positioned in the market? And so this is what we call variable P, right? And where are you? Are you like the leader? Are you chasing the leader in your field? Or are you not even in the game? Okay. So how do you compare to everybody else? What is your positioning in the marketplace? Now, after we look at positioning, we want to also figure out, first of all, if your positioning is off, you can't even worry about clarity. Because if your positioning is off, then everything collapses. So then we go to clarity, and clarity is really about making sure people understand exactly what you do. And then we're authority, right? Authority is claimed, right? It is not something you declare. People actually can deem you as an authority. Sometimes books are authority. Sometimes your awards can be an authority. And then we want to look at the methodology. That's what's going to bring you the momentum. Okay. So let me go back and make sure that you can see that. So when we get into the momentum, then you want to see, is this going to keep going, or is this a one-off? Is it relational or transactional? Okay. And you want to figure out, where am I, right? And have I really have a great definition of where I am? Is it clarified? And is the outcome clear? Are you showing everybody where's the outcome? So you might need to make some corrections in your methodology so that you can build the momentum, okay? And if people are choosing you, you have the authority, but the momentum is that compound effect, right? It's not about doing more, posting more. It's not about being everywhere. It's direction plus consistency. And it's what makes your demand predictable. Okay. So what I want to show you is sort of this pyramid of attraction, right? And there's 3 different levels that you can consider, right? Positioning is the base. And clarity is the structure, authority is the peak, and then momentum surrounds the whole system. And this is the architecture of demand, right? So you want to have sort of a diagnostic for this. So let me show you how this looks. And let's diagnose your demand. Where is it for you? Where is it breaking for you? Is it breaking in positioning? Or is it breaking in clarity? Is it breaking in authority? Or is it breaking in the momentum? So you don't need to fix everything. This is the key. You need to fix the right thing. And first you have to understand what is the right thing that you need to look at. So here's the shift that I want you to make today, okay? And you want to figure out, are people chasing you, or are they selecting you? How are you chosen, right? I want to get that. I've heard about that. I'm going to get in line. I'm going to show up early, right? Or are they selecting you? Are you chasing them? Or are you selecting them? So there's that comparison, like how are people looking at you? And then how are you attracting the audience? How are you getting them? So this is the shift, okay? No more chasing. We're going to start engineering desire. Because you're not really a marketer. You're not a content creator. You're not any of that. You're a demand architect. I want you to change the lingo around what you're doing, okay? And what I want you to think about is how can I shift my perception in the minds of my audience? Does this make sense? So are you trying to run up a down escalator? And what kind of compromises are you making, right? If there's no demand, maybe you keep dropping your price and you're always asking, how do I get leads? How do I get leads? How do I get more clients? Anyone feel like that? We see a lot of that. A lot of people say, oh, I need to make more money, but what I first need is leads, leads, leads. That is not it. Or like, build me my logo, build me my website first. That's what I need. Now that's a vanity play. That's your ego. Just like, okay, I have imposter syndrome and I want to build up this facade around me. That's not it, right? You don't need anything external. When I took my company from 0 to 1.4 million in 9.5 months, I didn't even really have a good website at all that I used. And I didn't build it and finish it out until afterwards. So you don't need all that. You can do it all organically. You don't need all these extra things, these extra ads. I love to teach how to build a 7-figure year organically so that you can have more profit, so that when it's time to grow and scale, then you've built something that actually works, and then you know it's going to continue to scale. Most people try to scale and then they collapse their business because they never actually had a solid foundation. Like they didn't have a system for attracting leads. And if you don't have a system for consistently getting leads and know what your numbers are, your percentages and your matrix, or if you want a structure, you want to actually know not just what to do, but how to do it. How many leads do I have to do? Who do I have to talk to? What do I actually say? How can I take this and make it agentic? How can I build this as something that will work on autopilot, right? Because when you're building demand, the last thing you want to do is manually try and do all of this yourself. And so the big focus for this year is we want people to understand you want to build an AI-powered business. And this is the methodology, but you still need to have the tools in there to make it work with or without you. So where are you facing the struggle in your business, right? So when you architect, it's a whole different dashboard, isn't it? So you're architecting demand, but you're also architecting behind the scenes, what everything looks like behind the scenes. And a lot of people miss this. They're like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't know how to do this. But when you have that capability, then you can charge premium. You can set more boundaries, no more scope creep. You attract the really ideal dream clients, the perfect fit. And you know what? It feels like a very powerful engine that you have. And that's the question. When you build that engine, then you have the luxury of deciding, do I actually want to work with these people or not? Right? Do they fit into my engine, or are they going to kind of clog it up? If you've ever worked with people and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I bring this person in as a client? I've done that a couple times, just a couple. And every time, whether I've done it, our clients have done it, you regret it. And because you're chasing. And why do people chase? It's because they don't have a big enough pipeline. Why don't they have a big enough pipeline? Because it isn't good from the beginning. How you're just getting them to the door. They don't want to go through the front door. So if you're struggling with all of these, actually, you can see that every step, the preceding step is what's breaking down. And so I'm showing you demand. We're going through the different pillars of the 7-figure year. And we talked about being distinguished and knowing how to find the right person and get the right messaging. And this is where we are right now. We're in between that stage of having that right message to attract the right people and the right pathway, the profit pathway that you're on. And so as we merge into this is where we are in week 5, about a little more than a third through. And it's going to get even better. on our next week. So figure out, where are you? Are you pulling or are you pushing? Are you attracting or are you demanding? And where is your focus in yours? So again, I want you to take a look at this, right? This is the one page that has everything, all the parts and pieces that we talked about today, and the 3 facts of the demand shift, what you have to shift, and then how to figure out, where am I in this stack? What's missing? Where are the 4 parts where I could be breaking down my own demand engine? And you might not even notice it, because it's not like driving a car and when we're driving down the road, all of a sudden it says, "Ooh, your tires are low, or your oil is low, or your fluids are too high or too low." We don't have that in business, right? And so when you don't have that, how do you know that anything is working? Well, what we are going to do, though, is give you a way to know, give you a way to build out this whole 7-figure year, and that's in the intelligence vault. So, everyone talks about artificial intelligence. This is going to be real intelligence. Everything that we put together is in here, because there's lots of ways and lots of things that you can add on and do, but a lot of them are unnecessary, especially for your own type of business. So it's not about knowing more. It's about knowing what is the specific part and piece that has to happen for you. And you can have an engine, but if you had 2 engines sitting there, how do you know one is going to be for a Yugo and one is going to be for a Ferrari? You have to have it built for your type of business. What is your outcome? What's your objective? And if you don't know that, then we got to go back to the beginning, right? And really decide and define what your business is going to be. So once you define what it is, then we can design all this engine, and then we can deploy it. And that's what we're going to be doing next week. So come back next week, 1:00-ish. Every Tuesday, Pacific time, and then we will go over week 6. So that is when we're halfway through the 7-figure year. And hopefully you've been implementing all of this. Get the vault. Just type vault down below. I'll send you the link, and you can go there and get that. And of course, if you are local, come to our live workshop. It's fun to be online, but it's even more fun in person. We give you a whole bunch of gifts and things, and we're building out the 7-figure year in our workshop, so you know exactly how to do it, and you get to walk home with all the pieces and parts. Or if you want to attend online, if you are not here in Del Mar or San Diego, California, or in Newport Beach, where we also go live, then just come online and get a ticket to the Profit Workshop, and we will show you exactly how to build your 7-figure business. So it's a lot easier than you think. And the key is, you just have to start taking action. Don't sit there. Don't follow old information. And if you're feeling just a little bit overwhelmed, if you haven't hit that 7-figure mark in 3 years in business, then it's time, right? Your strategy isn't right. And so if we could give you the right strategy and the right principles, then you don't get caught up in fads that are going around, okay? It's not another gadget. It's not another AI tool. It's a combination of everything to make your business a 7-figure business without stress, struggle, and overwhelm. So if you're ready, go to callconnie.com, type the vault down below after you subscribe, and come back next week for part 6 of our 12-part series, How to Build a 7-Figure Year. We're going to build it here in 12 weeks instead of 12 months. We will see you next week. And until that time, I want you to be iconic.